What's up, you guys? Episode 20 of the DISHIN podcast is live. We got into the EA Sports NHL 25 Team of the Year equipment that we did this year. We also got into the Four Nations face-off jerseys. We talked about the Stadium Series jerseys and how those are pushing the envelope within hockey. And we also got into two special show and tell pieces that we got for the shop. We got this huge buffalo head that we put right on front and display there. We also got two 3D signs that we mounted on Main Street and West Tupper. Episode 20 of the DISHIN podcast is live. Check it out now.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the DISHIN podcast, episode 20.
Let's go.
Let's go.
20 piece.
Hey.
Big 20 piece. Done 20 of these. Seems like we've done 200.
I know, but we do them every couple weeks. We're back.
Let's go, baby. We're back. Back in studio. We got a lot to talk about today.
We do, yeah. Do we want to just jump right in? Or Derek, how you feeling? You made your debut on camera last episode. We got a lot of good feedback from that.
Doing pretty good. Just easing my way into the flow of things and providing the people with some good opinions.
That's what it's all about.
That's right, dude. And also for everyone who's been commenting and just engaging on all the clips recently, we had a couple clips kind of pop off from conversations we've had on here. So shout out to everybody who's been watching those. If you guys have been watching the full episodes, we appreciate you guys. If you've been listening, we appreciate it. Yeah. A lot of work goes into this, like we said in previous episodes.
For sure. Well said. 1,600 followers on the IG page. We got a couple clips on the TikTok that we're jumping to, so that's big. I will say, too, we have two big guests coming up. I don't think we can say who yet, but we have one coming in later today that we're going to do like as probably another spin-off episode, and then one that we're going to film in, when is that? A couple months?
Couple months, yeah. We're looking like the spring. We actually just secured, like Matt was saying, two big guests. I'm really excited about the second guest that we have coming on later this year. That one I feel like is definitely going to be a big one for us, and I think a lot of people from Buffalo are going to enjoy that conversation and enjoy that guest too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to look at that and say, how the hell did we pull that off? But when you see the project that we're working on with this individual and the organization as a whole, I think people are going to be really excited about it.
Yeah, we're stoked. So stay tuned for that. In other news, we just came off a pretty big project with EA. This is our third year working with them. Want to let you talk a little bit about that.
The EA Sports Team of the Year. Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to work with them on this project for the past 3 years. So essentially what it is we work with Bauer, CCM True. We've done work with Sherwood in the past, but essentially it's a project through EA that we're sourced equipment through these companies, and we design and manufacture the skates for the Team of the Year players. So every year these players are nominated to be part of the Team of the Year in the NHL game. And this year, NHL players, but pretty cool this year to be able to work alongside PWHL players as well. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, one of my favorite projects of the year. It's always a crazy time crunch. It's during the holidays, end of the year. We have like 10 or 12 days to turn around 10 pieces of equipment, all custom. So yeah, always a grind. The boys do a great job with the content and everything too. So big ups to you guys. But yeah, George Wiley did all the work for us this year. He's a designer and does a lot of custom skate work on our team. So big nod to him as well, and everybody that was involved in the project. Always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always like, I feel like it's always like fun to start the year with this project too, because we kind of like the end of the year is always so busy with the holidays. I mean, we have Black Friday that was a month before the holidays kind of come up. So it's a fun project to really do and kind of end the year with, but also start the year too. Like this is our third year doing this now. Like you said, super, super quick turnaround. I think we only had maybe, like I remember last year, we only had a day or two with all the equipment. Same thing this year. And shout out to Derek too for really kind of stepping up and helping out with that over the past couple of years and pretty much designing the entire set for the skates to be shown on screen. So I know you and I worked a little bit more closely on your video on you kind of explaining what the project was, and then Derek took the lead on doing a lot more of the product stuff and more of like the detail shots of the skates and stuff. So, I mean, Derek, what's your favorite part about doing that? I do enjoy the fast turnaround. I think we work very well under pressure as a group.
I was just about to say the fast turnaround is very interesting. I always forget about this project every year when it comes up. It's always like, usually January is kind of a little bit slower month for us. And then this always pops up and it's like, oh, we got to get this done really quick. Not a problem ever, but just always interesting. This year was, I felt not challenging, but we've never done a goalie skate before, and that was a challenge in itself. For most, I don't know if people know, but the blades are much thicker on goalie skates, so trying to get those to stand up straight, and they're also just like a much wider and longer skate itself. So just challenges in itself, trying to get those framed up right. It was fun though. The skates this year I think were probably my favorite pair. I don't know. I liked the white last year, but there's just something about these ones this year. I think the black really pops, especially when it's painted like that, and then you've got the gold specks, flaked on too. But yeah, George crushed it, and video content came out really great, and I think everyone was really pumped to see what we did.
Yeah, I always love like when the players get the stuff too. Like we saw Taylor Heisey do an unboxing, Natalie Spooner as well, and it's dope because we were able to like build new relationships and connections with those players. Like as we send those boxes to them and they say, oh wow, what is this DISHIN brand? Let's kind of check them out and yeah, it always leads to something new. So always love following that and cool again that we're able to work with a lot of the women's players and have them be a part of it as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, I like seeing the players' reactions when they get this stuff, all the way from opening the box and just seeing, they're literally like their first look of like what these, like their first reaction, initial reaction of what these skates look like. I remember last year and this year was Cal McCarr, which was pretty cool. Did you see the clip that was on, I was on the broadcast, I think in Colorado.
Yeah.
So the skates, it's cool to see where these skates end up. And I know for us too, on the social side, it's a huge social boost for every brand, not just like EA and us, but for the companies like Bauer, the CCMs, the Sherwoods, True now too, kind of getting in the mix. And like Derek said with the goalie skates, I thought the goalie skates were pretty cool. That was the first time we've done goalie skates for this project. So I know it was a bit challenging to shoot those at first, but once we kind of got them, in the studio and got them set up, it worked out pretty well. Took a little fine tuning and different lighting because obviously the skate boot is shaped a little bit differently, and obviously, like Derek was saying, the blade too is a bit bigger on that. But
and also to note too is like people probably don't know this, but these are like the actual spec'd out skates for like the players itself. Like these are the ones that they're being sent that they're playing in. So like for instance, the goalie skate was Connor Hellebuck. The dude's like 6'6", 6'7". His skates are huge. So like he's wearing like probably size 13. Maybe 14 skates, and they're massive. So it's just like crazy to actually see. And I was going to say that on the other side, on the other end of it too, is like seeing now the women's stuff too, because like they're the same specs for the women's, and like seeing the comparison from the guys' skates versus the women's skates, like they're just the women's skates are so much smaller, and it's hilarious to see. Like, wait, they really play in these size skates? Yeah. But it's
even some of the men's skates are pretty small too. Like I think Quinn Hughes wears like a size 6.5.
McKinnon had a small skate too. I noticed too.
Yeah, so it's cool like to see like the specs that these guys are wearing and yeah, all the stuff that it's top of the line equipment that we're getting like from these companies. So it's dope to see it in our hands. We have it for like a week and then it's gone.
Yeah, I know. There's guys in the league too that wear. I know Pasternak wears smaller skates, and I saw something a couple of years ago where like he takes his skates off immediately after he gets off the ice because of how tight he wears the skates and how snug they are to his foot.
Well,
or to his feet. But
I've looked into it because like I had to buy skates for the first time in a long time, and when I was getting them fitted, they were basically saying, and like we definitely didn't wear these as kids growing up because, your parents obviously wanted you to grow into your skates. So there was like a little bit of room, but you're really supposed to be like your big toe is supposed to be like resting against the front of your skate. And like, to me, that feels super uncomfortable. I could never do that. Like, it just feels like I'm wearing way too small of skates. But it's just interesting to see how they're actually supposed to be fit. So Pasta's probably wearing an actually real size fit skate.
Yeah, probably. I always even when I was a kid, I was always so interested in player equipment because the equipment that players are wearing during the games that they're playing is totally different from retail. Completely different from retail. I know Ovechkin was a guy I always really just paid real close attention to his equipment. You had the jersey tuck. He has like whole extra piece of padding that's on the back of his pants that I'm not sure if you've ever noticed that before, but that's something that I've always kind of noticed over the years.
He's still rocking pro stock sticks too.
Yeah. That's another thing too. These guys bounce bounce from stick to stick, company to company, and things like that. So again, it's always interesting to see what these guys are wearing, on the ice, and what difference, like how much different it is from retail versus pro stock.
Can you guys imagine if Ovi breaks the record with a pro stock stick?
He's gonna.
It's gonna light the world
Yeah.
on fire.
Yeah.
What are we at right now? I think he's got 19 more to go, or
18 to go. Yeah, and if he's not gonna change now, so it's
Yeah.
probably gonna happen with the pro stock stick, which will be pretty crazy to see.
Pasta was using a pro too the other day. I sent it to my boy Geppetto, who runs that whole brand, and I was like, "You're on fire right now. You can't be stopped." And he was telling me showing me some insight of some other guys he's like seeing some stuff to right now. So pretty cool to have a line to him and some of the stuff that he's been doing. They push weight, bro.
Wait, who was that?
Pro Stock. It's this company,
Oh.
Pro. Yeah, they make all the custom sticks and everything. It's just like an individual, independent stick company. He's out of Winnipeg. But yeah, Geppetto's his name, and I've known him for the past few years now, and he's built quite a brand of this just independent stick brand. He has some unbelievable curves, like a lot of stuff that you can't really get off the stock shelves at any other store.
I was just gonna say, I think that's their specialty, is like you can get any type of curve, regardless if it's a Sherwood curve or if it's a CCM curve.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got everything. Like I saw, what is it, like Paul Coffey curve is on there. Like you can't find that anywhere.
He's it's pretty underground throughout hockey, I think, and throughout the league too, because like he's not allowed to post anything about guys using stuff in the NHL because there's no licensing or rights or anything that he holds. So it's kind of if you know, it's the type of thing.
Yeah, I was curious to know how that works too, because obviously, like if you need that license, like does he have to completely black out that stick? Can he have any sort of logo on there? So
yeah, no logo at all. It's funny. His logo is kind of like a question mark. It's like a P with a question mark, and he it's a good.
That's
brand.
kind of dope though.
Yeah, the under color of the sticks is always like a solid line in the stripe color. So yeah.
Yeah, those sticks are pretty much just stealthed out. They're just all black, I'm pretty sure.
Take a look. There's a lot of guys Mauer uses them.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Maui uses that. Actually, you know what? He's got a yellow stripe down the one he's using now. It's kind of like the old Nike Bauer 195 sticks.
And the nice thing about them is they're all like very reasonably priced too. Like I think they're still expensive, but I think it's like $200 maybe for top of line stick, something around there.
Yeah, and he offers all custom designs, everything. I think you only have to buy like 3 or 5 of them for that. So, yeah.
Wow,
that's a following his brand.
That's got to be nice. It's nice that they offer the sticks in bulk too.
So would you go to him with like your specs and stuff of your curve, and then they just manufacture it?
Yeah, I think it's a little different than stuff that you would buy from another equipment company, but like I was talking to him about like what the specs that I use and everything, and he kind of offered some suggestions of like based on what they produce.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think it's a little bit different, but they have just like such a wide variety of what they can offer.
Just be cool to be able to put like a square toe on like a PP 29, because like you can't find that, but like being able to put a square toe like the Datsuk toe on there would be kind of cool on top of like a more modern curve right now.
Yeah.
It's cool to see like how like a stick company, for example, could be way more underground than like a skate company, for example.
I was on Jordan's podcast, Live in 5 with Swish last week.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, and he brought that up. He always brings it up whenever we talk. He's just like, why don't these equipment companies have custom skates? Like, why can't you go into a hockey store and buy like an Austin Matthews specific retail skate and this and that? We got into that a little bit on the pod.
The McDavid 1.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of challenges that come with that from like a big company. But I mean, there's no reason why that you can't do that. And that's what I'm excited to start working on 2025 is a custom skate and just like building out the tech pack of that, the upper, the sole, a new holder, the blade, like everything from start to finish. So starting to work on that a little bit right now. I'm really excited about that, kind of how it's all coming together, working with a designer in the industry that's been doing it for quite a while that I've gotten to know pretty well, so pumped about that, and just some of the color options we're gonna have, and kind of infusing a little bit with the Skate Skins product as well. I think is something that's gonna be pretty dope.
Yeah, when I was listening to that podcast too, I was kind of surprised that you were talking about that a little bit, because I know that's something you've been kind of trying to keep under the rug a little bit and not talk about too much. But yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of that. I think the sky's kind of the limit, and I don't know. I think it's gonna definitely make some waves in the hockey space once it comes to market. Once
Yeah.
you guys really get something kind of nailed down. So
Side note: here's the prices of the Pro Stock sticks. Single stick customizer, 50 different curve options. You can choose the flex grip, weight, shaft shape, kick point, and much more. $189.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want a full customized one, minimum 5 sticks, $145 a stick.
that's not bad because I know like Ben and I when we go and buy sticks and like even you Matt like and Derek because we're all playing. Like Ben, I know Ben and I we were talking about this last week. Like we won't spend more than $200 on a stick. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And the sticks that we were using 10 years ago that were top of the line when we were playing are those $200 sticks. But now the sticks that like are top of the line sticks, like the ones that these kids are using now, are like $360, almost $400. Like that is insane. And they're almost too light.
Yeah.
They're almost way too light. So I'd be
like-
curious to know how much those weigh and what those compare to today's top of the line stick compared to 10 years ago's top of the line stick.
Like I think it was Alfredson was on a podcast recently, and they were talking about sticks. He was saying that he can't use the modern sticks because they're too light. You have he said he has no feel on the puck. And then they asked him, and they were like, "What was your like flex when you were playing?" He was like, "Probably like 100, maybe more."
I miss the days of 2-piece sticks, bro. Where you could go to like grade skate or something that had that huge bin where you go in there and pull out a blade and like even if you broke the shaft, it's like you just flip it over and put the blade in the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days, bro. They were. I love that blades came in all different colors too. Like you had solid black ones. You had like some of like the
wooden
the
ones
wood
too.
ones. Yeah, I know. I miss those days. Those are nice.
I remember the shaft that I used to use when I was a kid was the Easton Z Bubble. I don't know if you guys remember the Z Bubbles, but those were fire.
I used an Easton Synergy shaft.
Yeah, and then you would put Sherwood blades in your. So you're using two different brands.
I was always using a Paul Coffey curve, PP77, I think is what it is now.
Yeah.
But
kids nowadays would have no clue.
That was like the most fun part about like getting new equipment is like the project of putting it all together. Like you get your dad and he'd like get the heat gun out and
get
he'd
the
like
blowtorch.
Yeah, that shit was fun, dude. Like it was like the best part of getting new equipment, especially on like Christmas and stuff like that. It's just like the whole process of putting it together. I always say like the best part of Christmas is like the 3-4 hours afterwards where you got all your toys out and you're just like assembling everything.
Yeah, that is the best part.
I had to stop using 2-piece sticks because I had to start putting a butt end plug on them because they weren't long enough for me. And I'm not even joking. I put a butt end plug in it once, and it was just like a piece of wood, like extender. First shot that I took snapped right in half, like right in half. I was like, I'm never using this again. So
I'm so glad. I'm so
glad.
glad.
To switch to 1-piece sticks. My dad was not happy.
I remember when we used to play together as kids, and you'd always have that issue. I'm so glad I didn't have to use an extension in my sticks growing up, just because of that. Because I remember like you would always complain that they would loosen up, and I'm like that sucks.
And buying sticks now is not easy either. Like I have to make sure that they're an extra long because literally the full size ones only comes up to like the bottom of my chin, and I just like feel like I'm like leaning so hard into shots. It's so weird. Or sometimes I whiff on shots because I'm not leaning enough. Like, I don't have enough contact with the ground.
Yeah, so this pod is brought to you by Pro.
Yeah.
Stick talk.
Yeah. No, speaking of like equipment and stuff, what did you guys think of the Four Nations jerseys?
I really like Team Canada's jersey. I thought there was a lot of thought into it. And then Team USA's is just, I don't know, they just always are very tough. Like
It's just kind of plain Jane, you know?
Yeah, I
proud to be an American, but
I personally love the like days of the swooshing S like logo and stuff. I know that's USA Hockey, but like I miss those days. Those were the elite logo and much better, but I don't know. It's just much more of a clean look, whereas like the Canada jersey is just classic.
I think what's interesting is that since there's only 4 teams, each team only has one jersey.
Yes.
You think about like big Olympic tournaments and stuff, like each team has a home and away. So I do like the color blocking. It kind of reminds me of Color Rush a little bit. But I think they do a nice job with designing the jerseys of pulling out the symbolic elements from each country. Like you have the maple leaf on there. You have the big USA blocking. You have the three crowns for Sweden, and then Finland has was it like the bird on there or something.
No,
like
it's
I
that.
kind of liked
their
Finland's jerseys.
crest.
Yeah, the
it's just their
crest,
crest. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I liked him. I was at the Sabre store last a couple days ago and got to see him up in person. And yeah, there are two different price points, which is interesting. You have the Authentic Pro, which runs like $500, and then you have like the I'll call it the fan jersey, which is like I think $250 price point. So a little bit different.
That's a
yeah.
big jump.
The
Yeah,
tough point
it's a really big
between
jump.
the fan jersey, I think looks nice, and like I know that there's stuff that you gotta cut costs and cut corners a little bit to make those price points, but I don't like the flat crest. Like it looks like it's almost just like printed and then stitched on kind of thing, rather than how they always have been. Like
Yeah.
I just even remember always down to even the cheaper jerseys, like if they weren't screen printed, they still had that fully sewn crest on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it's different. It's not like, I mean, all the jerseys we have in the back, all the old like CCM jerseys, just like there's a lot more character and beef and build to them, I think, than some of the jerseys we see right now. And I think a lot of that is cost driven. I think a lot of it is functionality of making them as lightweight as possible, tear proof, all the stuff that goes into it. But yeah, it's interesting to see where they've come.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that they weren't doing home and away jerseys. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, you think
that's-
about it, Finland's is white, and then all the other ones are color, so yellow,
Yeah.
red, and blue.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, like, even though, like, I know I was saying earlier that the USA jersey is a little more plain Jane compared to the other jerseys, but I think, like, once you get all the guys out, on the ice and you see them in warm-ups and you see guys wearing them, I think that it might change the perspective on them a little bit. It might change my mind at least a little bit on them for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We haven't seen them as a whole squad yet, just only by themselves. So
Yeah. And then we got Stadium Series coming up, too.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Dude,
I was
I
gonna bring that
love
up,
those
too.
jerseys.
Yeah. Stadium Series is so fun because it's stuff that, like, you wouldn't see in a regular NHL hockey game. It's stuff that they're really, I think, pushing the boundary a little bit as far as, like, we see the helmet logos. We see, like, more big, bold letters and striping and
Yeah.
colors and all this stuff. And some of the stuff that they're doing with the pant design is really cool, too. So I love Stadium Series. I'm always up for that.
Yeah, I liked that Columbus had the cannon on the jersey. Like,
Mhm.
that's so fire.
Yeah. The Wings jerseys, though, that's probably one of my favorite looks I've ever seen in all of hockey. Just, like, we got to find a way to, like, bring that helmet customization to the mainstream because there's so many kids, like, that would love to be a part of that. I know, like, in the Brick Tournament, we see a lot of it. Like, Toronto Bulldogs, they lean into that, and just some other teams, too. But I think there's a huge market for more helmet customization within the hockey. So maybe
Yeah.
we can create some sort of template that we
Well,
can create for that.
I mean, so I know that Bettman in the past has said that the Stadium Series is like almost a testing spot for the league to try out new stuff with, like what you said, like helmets, pants, jerseys. The numbers are usually bigger, bolder, just because you're further away. They're in bigger stadiums. But to what you were saying is that stuff has come out of the Stadium Series that has made its way to the mainstream and into the main look. Like the chrome helmets from the LA Kings, that was a Stadium Series thing. That's where it started. And then they now wear that as part of their third jersey, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Vancouver did it, but I want to say that those matte black helmets also stemmed from a Stadium Series or Heritage Classic. I'm not sure.
That's a great point.
So-
Yeah, it's definitely a great experimental game process for those teams.
And then, like you said, Detroit, too, very classic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked the like, you had, like, Detroit with more of, like, that classic look, and then you have Columbus kind of being a little more loud with stuff and how they're presented, too. And Columbus they're both those teams are a wagon right now. I think they're both I think as of yesterday they're both tied for a wild card spot. So
Columbus has the last wild card spot right now. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just funny like you say that because I think everyone at the beginning of the year was looking at that matchup and was like, oh, God, we're going to be looking at a bottom of the barrel, like Eastern Conference type of matchup. But now it's like both the teams are competing for a playoff spot. So it should be a good game, actually.
yeah, I think that game alone is going to be way more interesting to watch than the Winter Classic, only because to that point, I mean, two teams competing for a spot in the playoffs there. I think there's going to be a lot more on the line to play for. Chicago, a little bit lower in the standings. Obviously, there's like that Bedard hype, but And then St. Louis too, kind of playing pretty well during that time, and then also Fowler having his 1,000th game, But I think there's going to be a little bit more hype for both teams and around Stadium Series for sure.
If you guys had to come up with 2 teams across the NHL, do you think are due for a rebrand, color, jersey wise? What would you say? I would say my 2 teams are Columbus and Washington. I think Washington needs to go back or change their primary look, at least the primary logo, and I think Columbus too. Like, I love the red, white, and blue, but I think they could spice that up a little bit, throw back the stinger a little bit in some way, bring that lime green accent out a little bit more. I don't think there's enough of that in hockey, and we've seen like Dallas lean into that now with the 3rd jersey that they're doing. So if you guys had to pick, what do you think are 2 teams that could use some sort of refresh or relook like that?
Yeah, I'd say Caps and probably the Devils. Be curious to see what they could do. I love their what's that?
Remember the old red and green Devils jerseys?
Yeah, I just like their color palettes, but I'd be curious to see what they could do.
Yeah.
The Ottawa jersey behind me though too. That's a very clean look.
I think I'd have to say, you brought it up. Definitely Dallas. Dallas has one of the most boring.
Yeah, Dallas is a good one. Yeah.
And then the Panthers probably. I think
that's
the
a good one.
Panthers.
That's a good one. Those are 2 good ones, Derek.
I love their colors, and I just think that they could come up with I like the older 90s logo a little bit better. The almost like jumping panther. Like if they could do something with that and the older colors, I think it would look really nice. But yeah, Dallas has some of the best colors, and I think that their logo is just so bland. Like they could do so much more with it. Like it's just stars, and the A is part of the star.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like you could come up with something a little bit more creative. But
yeah, I think Washington could throw back to that Screaming Eagle full time, and I think even Columbus too, lean into that cannon a little bit more. It's symbolic and a part of their brand and their history too. I also think every team in the NHL should have a black jersey in some way. I love that the Sabres do as a 3rd jersey. I love the Chicago, that classic black and white. And I think it's just a great kit. I think any logo will look good as a stealth jersey, and I think if you throw in 1 or 2 small color accents in there too, I think it really, really makes it pop. So I do think every team should have a black in their arsenal. I think that's what makes a great kit. So
I think the Capitals, it's tough because I think the Capitals logo is just boring more. So I don't know, not boring. It's just
it's outdated.
Yeah, outdated. But I love the jersey pattern and color scheme that they have. I think those jerseys are some of the nicer jerseys, especially that white. The white jersey's really nice with the accents. Yeah, maybe a logo rebrand basically.
That'll get the people talking.
You kind of put us on the spot there for a second.
Yeah.
All right, we have 2 exciting show and tell pieces this week. 2 that are, I would say, 2 new shop upgrades that we have here at 712 Main Street. The first one that we're excited to show you guys is the buffalo head. This is a custom buffalo head that we got from a taxidermy in Montana. Been looking at this for a couple years now. Just when you bounce around to different bars, that's what I love about Buffalo. Different I think different places throughout the city. I think almost every place has one of these, and I think they tell a unique story. And when we were looking at this, sourcing one, I wanted to find one that had that nice light fur color, the light brown, some nice horns. And when you look at them straight on, it was funny. I was looking at some of them before, and they looked really nice from the side, but when you look straight on of them, some of them had the left eye was way higher than the right one, and yeah, but this one, he just spoke to me a little bit. I would just love to know where he grew up or what his story was, or how many people he had in his family or all that. But I will say too, the buffalo needs a name. So if anybody has some name suggestions, throw them in the comments here, and we'll see what we can pick.
That thing is gnarly. That thing scared the shit out of me when I walked in here last week.
Yeah.
I walked in here, and Matt and Ben just had it laying on the floor in the middle of the shop. I walked in, and I just looked at the ground and I almost jumped. This thing's huge now.
When Matt told me about it, he was just he showed me the picture, and he was like, yeah, the horn's got to get sanded down a little bit. I'm like, oh, so it's one of those.
Yeah, so when I found it, his horns were pretty beat up, and a part of me wanted to leave a lot of that because it's a real buffalo, so it's he's been through war and all these cold winters and everything. But yeah, the lady that I was talking with that sold it to us, she's sanding them down a little bit, but I wanted to keep majority of that wear and tear on them too. So some of the detail on them up close is unbelievable. It's got the eyelashes, just the snout, the nose, just some of the fur underneath his chin there too. It's just he's got like a little mullet going on. He's beautiful.
Yeah, that thing is a work of art.
Yeah. Should have seen the guys in here yesterday when me and Benny were here when they were hanging him up. He had some funny things to say.
Perfectly centered too on the wall.
Yeah.
What's that other show and tell?
And then the other show and tell is we got a 3D sign that we threw up out front. We got the smiley head. So we got one facing Main Street and one facing Tupper too. So something that I think we've wanted for a couple of years now as well. And you know, just the smiley logo alone, I think is perfect on the street corner there. Pretty cool to see like the maintenance guys here in the building hanging up for us. So that was really dope of them to do. And just I think it's like kind of like the foundation of having the shop. It's just like, I don't know, you can be driving on either street, and I think the logo is like so iconic that no matter where you're from, you can kind of see it from a distance and know it's us. So I think I love doing like more shop upgrades like this, kind of, you know, as we get going a little bit here. It's kind of going into spring and some cool projects in the works for 2025 and beyond. And I think it comes to like, I want to do more events here in store and in the shop, like do a pop-up here pretty soon where we can kind of just throw that CCM rack out here and just throw everything on display. Kind of get people little tours as well. I think the shop's, you know, got some pretty cool artifacts and pieces. It's kind of like a museum, you know, walking through here. And I think a lot of people when they come here for the first time are pretty blown away by the setup that we have. So yeah, the 3D sign was just kind of the original founding piece of that, just to kind of get everything moving.
Yeah, it's nice to see that's actually up now too, because I remember when we first moved in here, that was something that we wanted to have, and I know that took some time. Some of the comments were funny too when we posted that photo on the DISHIN page. Like
Yeah.
someone made a comment about the permits that it took to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Which was funny. But yeah, no, I mean, we've been in here what now, 3 years?
Yep, October 2022 we moved in.
Yeah.
So almost 3 years, not 3 years quite yet, but
Just to give you an idea of how much time it took to get up there.
yeah, for sure. So, I will say too, shout out to Joe Reyes, who's been doing a lot of creative work for us as far as like kind of building out I want to call it the smiley verse, which is some of the stuff that we're doing in the front shop. He did a really dope like charging buffalo type one with him like skating on a pond with the arena behind him, and then we did another one too that was really sick of smiley surfing, kind of like a beach sort of theme, and had some cool details in there like the pineapple and the fruit. The coconuts are dope, and some of the starfish in the front. So yeah, shout out to Joe. He's extremely talented, and he's been doing a lot of design work for us as well. So glad to have him a part of our team. He's a Rochester guy, so someone I've known for a little bit now, and glad he's been coming out to Buffalo quite a bit and doing some remote work for us. So yeah, the Smileyverse, I think you know, that was like kind of my whole idea around the Smiley and bringing out the brand with the 3 eyes and everything. It's just like leaning into that a little bit more and just making hockey more open and accessible and fun, and bringing all these creative elements into hockey that we don't necessarily see. And it's really projected us, I think, into doing more collab and brand work as a whole. So yeah, excited for that and to keep building it out and doing more of these themes and building that into merch too.
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah.
Super fire. But yeah, that's all I kind of had. Anything from you, Derek?
No, I think that's it. I think we got through a lot.
Sweet. Thanks for watching episode 20.
Bang.